Hey, my name's Ethan Johnston. I'm in my third year of electrical engineering at Dalhousie University. I've competed in Skills Canada competition previously in both the provincial and national competition. And so today I'm gonna share my knowledge on robotics and how to get started building your robots. In this video series, a couple friends and I are gonna be taking you through the entire creative process of developing a robot. From seeing what we have to work with by unpacking the Studica kit, brainstorming different solutions related to the course description and how to really come to a final decision on what your robot's gonna look like. And then finally, we're gonna walk you through building a robot, which should be super fun, and I'll see you guys there. But first, let's walk you through the contest description and all the supporting documents needed to really get started with the competition.
So as soon as you open the course description, you'll be presented with a render of the course and the course name. So in this case, gold mine operation. And then you can see a picture of the course. You'll notice in the bottom right, it says date updated, November 28th. You'll want to keep this in mind when you refer back to the course description, just so you know you have the most up-to-date version. Moving on, we'll see the table of contents, which will let you quickly navigate through the document. It's pretty big, so don't get too overwhelmed. Moving on to the start with definitions. Here we can read about specific meanings to what each of these listed terms mean. We see that a teleoperated robot element are elements under the direct/active control of competitors during gameplay using one or two radio/game controllers held by the courtside competitors. In contrast, it also describes what a mobile independent autonomous mobile robot element is, just so the difference is clarified. Next, we'll move on to the game overview, which gives us a general idea of the actions that your robots are going to need to complete. Again, moving on to a big section, the detailed court areas. Here we see in-depth descriptions of each notable area. We can see dimensions, where the robots must start, where the game pieces start, what the game pieces are, and much more. This is the most useful section for when you are building the course for your robot to practice with, but it also helps to visualize the course and give you some ideas of what your robot might end up looking like or doing. For the next section, we have each team's exclusive use area. This is talking about the area that you as a competitor will be walking around the course in and controlling your robot from. Moving on to each team's area. Now we're talking about the area that the robot plays in. Details on where they can start from and main areas where the most action will happen are here. In this case, the mining and sorting area are heavily described. Next is the game description. In this section, we are told what is allowed during the game. It talks about the robots that are allowed and a few other things. Next is probably one of the most important sections, the scoring summary. This section is pretty self-explanatory. It goes over how the points are broken down, and we can see that there are points for mining, i.e. getting the game pieces out of the pits, and there are sorting points for sorting through the different pieces and putting them in the designated areas. This section is where I see strategy development coming into play. In other words, what's the most bang for the buck? What can I do in the least amount of time to get the most amount of points? Next is something that you should become very familiar with, the marking sheet, and maybe try using it one or two times while you're practicing just so you become really familiar. It's basically what the judges will use to tally up your points you earn during the game so that in the end they can tally up the total number of points and see who won the competition. Also, during the competition, make sure you're also counting up your points. Don't solely rely on the judges because sometimes they don't count properly and you might win just based off of one extra point that wasn't counted. Next, we have the pit area and court access. Here it talks about the rules of the pit/repair area and when you're allowed to use the court outside of the competition. It also specifies some parts of the robot's inspection. Moving on, we get to the gameplay section. This section talks in detail about how the game will play out and the rules during the gameplay. It talks about a lot of different game mechanics that you should become familiar with. Next is the court layout. This is really important when designing your robot to allow for tolerance in the design, because though the course will be made to a higher tolerance than 1/2 inch, make sure that your robot will still work and is not dependent on these dimensions. Next is the robot's restrictions. That's pretty self-explanatory. Next, it talks about what your robot must do and what must happen when it's first powered up and at the start of each game. Section 14 is talking about the overall team robot entry size. So it talks about the starting area size and then the overall max volume that your robot can take up. This is talking about the volume based off of a rectangle. So the max width, length, and height all multiplied together. Basically put a box around your robots or the configuration that you'll start in, and that will be your max volume calculation. Next is an important one, the power sources and management. It talks about different safety things like adding fuses and maximum voltages and maximum power in a circuit. For teams using non-battery energy sources, section 16 is probably what you're going to want to look at the most. It goes over pressure regulation and different rules about pressure tanks. Section 17 talks about recommended robot controllers. They recommend 2.4 gigahertz control systems, but I've had success with Bluetooth and even in the big venues with lots of other transmitters. But just be wary that there might be an interference problem. Next talks more about the pit area and the rules when you're in the pit area. Next is just an overall court description talking about the sizes of different areas. And finally, we get to the pre-inspection, which is done before you're allowed to compete in the competition, usually the night before. And it's just a checklist that the inspector must go through while looking at your robot and making sure that all the criteria is met. So before you go to the competition, make sure that this checklist, everything's checked off on this checklist. So that's just a quick overview of this robotics course description. Just give it a good read, maybe 3 or 4 times before you start brainstorming. You really want to understand the ins and outs of this gold mine operation so that you can know little tricks and different ways to maneuver the course, different workflows. Try out different strategies while you're practicing, and I'm sure you'll have a fun time, and good luck to you. Just remember to practice.